Do you know how hard it is to sit here and ask for a handout right now? I mean, that's probably because I'm Kris Krohn, and it's probably because I actually don't need to be doing this. But unfortunately, society has indoctrinated us 4 different ways on how to be poor. It's almost like someone wants us to be poor. And why would they want that? Tell you what, I'm sick of this. Today, I'm gonna talk about the 4 ways society is messing with you and I right here to keep us poor way down. I'm gonna show you how we're gonna win. I'm gonna show you how to overcome that mentality. And I'm gonna show you why anyone like me can be wealthy.
One shot, now the future is yours. Go! I'm turning dreams into reality. Yeah, it's one shot, now the future is yours. Go!
So, this is hard, right? Society really wants you to be poor. I gotta back this up with the stat. Check this out. Paycheck to paycheck, according to CNBC. As of the start of 2022, like this is fresh right now, 64% of the US population is living paycheck to paycheck. One of the wealthiest countries in the entire world has 2/3 of its citizens that literally are waiting for their next paycheck, and it's already spent. Why is it this way? Well, this might sound dire. The reality is that most people are programmed to be poor. And by recognizing the sources of this programming, people can overcome this and live a more abundant life, which, by the way, if you're a subscriber on my channel, take a moment to do that right now. I'm all about helping you live the abundant life. I believe we get this one life to live. And the question is, are you really living at the speed of your potential? Are you living your life to the fullest? Well, hang with me and you're going to. So this starts actually from the time we're little kids in school. In the industrial age, public schools became available to the masses, and they were designed to generate good workers, not good entrepreneurs. As economist Joel Moyker explains, workers who had always spent their working days in a domestic setting had to be taught to follow orders, to respect the space and property rights of others, be punctual, docile, and sober. Much of this has bled into our modern school today, and financial education is still completely missing from the school environment. Like, I can't believe that kids aren't being taught, like, what is this stuff? What's a lot of it? What's a little of it? How do you earn it? What do you do to be responsible? I mean, my oldest is 16 right now, and I've taught her about real estate investing, entrepreneurship. I've helped her start her own business. And I'm doing all of these things for a very specific purpose because I want her to be financially self-sufficient. In fact, at one point, I pulled my kids out of the school environment because I didn't want them spending all day with people that hadn't figured out how to live the most successful life. I don't want to sound judgmental. I'm sure I know for a fact there's like really wonderful teachers out there, but there's also plenty of teachers that are spending prime time with my kids, teaching them a bunch of things that I don't believe. First and foremost, how to be poor.
I taught school for 20 years in the inner city, so don't even think about messing with me. Y'all feel me?
So one of the problems that we have today is this consumer mindset where we already know how we're gonna spend the next money. If I were to say, hey, I'm gonna write you a $10,000 check, do you know what it would be for? If you've been following my channel for a while, the right answer would be, Kris, it's set aside for investing. But for most of us, it's like, oh, dude, I've already got like a dream card, a wish list set up on Amazon, and I already know the things that I'm gonna buy, or I wanna buy that fancy car, or I wanna buy this thing. And the reality is, in that consumer mindset, we never actually run out of things that we want, thanks, drumroll please, to advertisers. Like, there's tons of programmers. If it doesn't come from the school system, it comes from advertisers. In 2021 alone, $297.5 billion was spent on advertising, and it's estimated that the average American is exposed to between 4,000 and 10,000 ads every single day. I want you to just think about that. I don't even know how on earth do they even come up with a number so big that you're driving your car and the billboards and the radio station is blabbing at you, and then you scroll through social media in between watching some of me, and all of a sudden you're hit up with thousands every day, each of these ads enticing you to spend money in ways that you haven't even thought of before. They're like, oh, have you thought that money you don't have right now could also be spent on this cool new knee brace or this awesome jewelry? Or have you considered this really cool thing over here? Bottom line is, we're not really disciplined the way the wealthy are to set money aside, invest it, and then live off of those investments where it's now time to spend. We're playing life backwards, and we're always playing catch up. If it's not school, it's because of these blasted advertisers.
I will not bow to any sponsor.
Think about this for just a moment. Society basically is saying this message. One word, spend. But let me show you what wealthy people do. You see, the wealthy are playing at life with a very specific system. And whereas step one of society is spend, step two is spend, step three is spend, wealthy people, number one, they save. And once they've saved enough that they can invest, they grow their money. And when they've grown it sufficiently, they then spend. So in other words, society has spending as like the first and only step. The wealthy people, they get to spend. Today, I can buy anything that I want. I can take a trip to the Galapagos and I can drop $100,000 on between my private jet and a private yacht. Or I can take my daughter to Hawaii for her coming of age party. Or I can go to I can drop $1 million off in Ukraine on a humanitarian mission. Like, I'm living a really amazing, extravagant life, but watch what I did. I saved my money intelligently. I then invested it, and now I have money to spend. Society is not teaching that. All they're teaching is, oh, you have a little bit? Dude, you need this next new thing. And number three, let's not forget the impact of culture, right? Culture is definitely having an impact on our programming. You've heard things like this. You need money to make money. By the way, money is also the root of all evil. Some people go so far as to actually shorten that. Money is just evil. And money doesn't grow on trees, but it's paper, and actually technically it does. So like even in modern film, right? You've got 16 billionaires and 10 out of 16 are what? They're always the bad guys. So you have Batman, you got Tony Stark, but then for the most part, you've got like these evil guys with power and laughs and derangedness, and they want to like just corrupt and destroy the world, and they want more power. So culture weighs in really heavy on also this whole notion of what makes us poor. Not only do big businesses want to keep you poor, but societal values run counter to accumulating wealth. Whether passed down by family, TV shows, or religious tradition, these values do not serve those looking to live the more abundant life. And I'll tell you, I personally ran into this as a 26-year-old who was financially free, who had just graduated college, and I moved into my 10,000 square foot home on the golf course. And I invited all my family to come over and check it out. And some of the weirdest vibes came into my home because it was this gorgeous, beautiful home, Venetian plaster, custom built exactly the way me and my wife wanted it. We were driving the nicest BMW and Escalade. And yet, culturally, I could feel that it wasn't okay at our age to be expressing the level of wealth that we had already obtained. And I think one of the reasons that people stay poor is they're afraid of being alone, because we surround ourselves with people that support our inadequacies. And if I become wealthy, and if people are like crabs in a bucket trying to pull me down, then where am I gonna go? I know tons of people that stay poor because they don't know how to answer that. So basically, we've got the school system, we've got businesses, advertisers, we've got religion, family, our culture, our friends. They're all basically like saying, be poor, that's how you be acceptable, that's what everyone else is. That's what you should be doing with your life. And then there's another force working against us, and this one is personal instinct. Check it out. This is Parkinsons Law. It says that expenditures will rise to meet an increase of income. Think about it this way. We're literally programmed to spend, according to this law, plus or minus 10% of the money we make. So let's just say that you were a poor college kid working at the cafeteria, making $12,000 a year, and then you get out of college and you get a job making $70,000 a year. Guess what you're programmed to do? Spend $65,000 to $75,000 a year. If 2 years later you have this big career break and now you're making $100,000 a year, you're going to spend $90,000 to $110,000 a year. That's natural, and that's from society's programming, our neighbors keeping up with the Joneses, trying to, step into a level of success and feel important. We're all striving to be seen. We're all striving to be significant. We're all striving to be recognized for our achievements. And yet, check it out. We're naturally programmed to spend what we have, but luckily, you need to understand this code can be rewritten. Learning, for example, to pay yourself first is the most valuable mindset that you can achieve when building wealth. As in, here's the amount of money that I make in an entire year. And normally it's like, well, all of this would go out the door for my expenses and there's a little left over. You can't do it that way. Paying yourself first means this. I worked my butt off this year for this same amount of money, and I'm going to take 20% of it and set it aside. This is for my future. This is for investing. This is for buying real estate. This is for buying business. Now I got to take what's left, and now I'm going to balance my budget, and I'm going to pay my bills, and hopefully still have a little left over. But the reason why that works is because, like I showed you earlier, you have to save money, not because accumulation will save you financially, but because then you'll have money to what? To invest. And if you get good at the game of investing, you want to become a professional investor. Then you can take those professional investments that are now working for your good, and in time, that can then spin off the kind of money that you can spend the way the wealthy do. Am I really saying that everyone can be wealthy? Oh, give me a break. It's just math. It's just making certain choices. Money is a game. And if you know the rules and you play it the right way, anyone can be wealthy. I want to tell you about one of the craziest things financially that you might ever hear in your entire life. If you work for somebody else, you're either loving your career, you have a 15% chance of that, or you hate your career and you have an 85% chance of that, which means you need a new career or you're actually an entrepreneur and you're not supposed to work for somebody else. So you have two paths. If you love what you do or you can find a job that you love doing, then you have to be an expert at saving money, at least 20%, and you gotta dutifully set it aside and you have to invest it in 5 different things. I'll tell you about that in a second. If you're an entrepreneur, then you've got to dutifully set 20% aside, but probably even more, because if you become successful at entrepreneurship, there's a lot more money to make there than someone that has a job, and you set that aside for 5 different investments. Now here's the crazy part. If you didn't have to have a job, would you? And if you didn't have to have a business, would you? Well, there's a financial game where you can keep graduating. For example, if you're an entrepreneur, you hire a CEO to run your company. And then you think, well, what do I do with my time? Well, now you go start a second company, but you find a CEO from day one. Well, if you can do that twice, then why not 10 times? Or why not 100 times? I've done it way more than that. So there's always a financial graduation for you. If you want to be wealthy, you just have to graduate. You're likely stuck somewhere, and if you want to diagnose where you're stuck, I wrote this book for you. This book is called Have It All: The Roadmap to Becoming a Self-Made Millionaire. There are 5 different things that you should invest in. These 5 things can make you wealthy in just 5 or 10 years. And I don't care if you're starting with student loan debt, credit card debt, if you're living Parkinsons Law, check to check, there's a way out right now, and it's literally written in this book. I've broken the code. I'll tell you that there was a time when I was deeply in debt, a poor college kid, and I was working my guts out 40 hours a week, and I made less than $20,000 in a year. Now I make $20,000 in 10 minutes. This is how. You find successful people and you model them. If you are following me on my channel, if you're a subscriber, then do yourself a favor. Click the link below, get a copy of this book right now, and then read it. Or go to Audible, get the audio. I spent 3 painstaking days of my life to also give you an audio version. Get this book, cover the shipping and handling on it. I'll send it to you. It's in full color. I rewrote this book so many times to literally make it perfect, to give you the simplest bulletproof system on how anyone can be wealthy. I don't care about your financial upbringing or your religious cultural training or what school has taught you or what society or businesses has taught you. I'm going to tell you right now that you can break free of that mold. And this will show you step by step. It's the last book that you'll ever need to understand the game of money to win in life. So if you want to be a billionaire, then you have to model billionaires. And I recently had a buddy of mine here in the studio who teaches billionaires how to financially level up their game. You want to know what that dude knows? Click this video right here and let me teach you financially how to elevate your thinking to the next level. Or that's why I'm in this situation that I'm in right now. But I'll tell you what, I have no idea what to say. I'm so hot right now.
You got like the stoner vibe.
I know.